had an interesting conversation in the Discord room about news and how I use it and what I care about and things like that. So for this, Rant Wednesday, maybe we're calling it, I want to talk about that and just to clear up what I think is important when it comes to news, what I think people should know as someone who's a technician and a quant. I'm not a fundamental guy. I don't follow the stories out there unless I have to, unless they're thrown in my face. I always joke that everything I know about US news or politics is completely against my will, but it's important to know that the news is going to happen. So this conversation was started because StatsEdge Pro members, they get an email every single day with all of the day trading triggers, stop losses, right? If this stock gets here, we're going to buy it. If it gets here, we're going to short it, that type of thing. All of the levels sent out every day. And on top of that, there's a little kind of quote, a little note that I write and just say, I expect a crazy day, or it's going to be a slow day, or here's some news coming out. So I think people were kind of surprised that I talk about news at all. And then also, we're asking my opinion about it. I don't know. So what we're going to talk about is kind of what I use news for and how I look at it anyway. First of all, where do I get it from? So this is forexfactory.com. Tons of places you can find this. These are government economic events, so they have to tell you about them. So there's nothing surprising here at all. But I've just for years and years come to this website every day for, I don't know, probably 20 years now. And they just tell you the news by these little envelopes or whatever these icons are supposed to be. If they're yellow, it's an event that really no one cares about that much. If it's red, it's generally speaking market moving. And then if it is orange, then quite often it doesn't really do much, but sometimes it can do something. And anytime you see red envelope events, it's like, okay, well, these are things that are going to move. And if I see a bunch of them back to back, then I know, oh, this is going to be pretty significant. So I noted that in the email that went out last week. And it's not that I really care about the news, but what economic events can do is they can create volatility. So this is the candle where that news event came out. We had a big pop, everything looked great, and then we kind of gave it all back here on this kind of sell-off in the morning, and now we're just chopping around. But this volatility makes sense on days that there's news. And if we go to yesterday, this is the same, I have it zoomed in the same way, and this is yesterday. And if we go into Forex Factory for yesterday, there was retail sales, which is going to matter for retail stocks, but that came pretty much exactly in line and no one really cared. So you can see this day was much choppier. That's all I'm really looking for. Is I don't know what the numbers were. I don't know whether good numbers, higher numbers are good or lower numbers are bad. I don't know any of that because when I studied it in the past, it didn't make any difference. Sometimes you had this thing where if people are losing jobs, that's good because the Fed will lower, or there's less jobs and that's good for this reason, or more jobs and that's good for this reason, or bad for this reason. It's kind of like earnings reports. So two examples I wanted to give of things that I looked up for earnings report was Oscar Health. This is one that I've been watching a bit and doing some discretionary trades on in and out. And they had earnings here and they beat and they missed on both sides. Then the stock ripped and it's still ripping today. And then you had Shopify, and I only know about this one because it's Canadian, and it beat top and bottom line and it's tanking. It's absolutely falling apart here. So that these numbers don't matter. What matters is all of the stuff under the hood. What was the guidance for next year? What was, did the CEO sound good on the call when he was asked a question about X? What was his answer? Things like that. That to me is way too discretionarily. It's just way too discretion. There's way too much discretion in that. It's just way too much discretion. And for me, being a systematic guy, if I can't put it in a model and test it and go through and say, yes, when we're above the 200-day moving average, it helps. Or when there's a gap of this, it helps. If there's this kind of candle pattern, then it's noise to me. And we live in a day where, I'm going to do an old man rant here, but we live in a day back when I started trading, there was no information out there. There was none. And we've gone from that, where there was really nothing to kind of hang our hat on for information, to now there is tons of information, an unlimited amount of information. So it became an exercise of me trying to find things that worked in the market to now me filtering out things. I have 60 some odd strategies that I'm looking to test. I will never have enough time in the day to test all the things that I want to. So it becomes an exercise of I need to figure out what to filter out. And that's a great exercise, I think, especially for newer traders, because you go on YouTube, and I'm on YouTube right now, but you go on YouTube and there'll be some guy saying this and some other guy saying that, and a video that's really flashy saying another thing. And the ability to filter out information is more important than the ability to bring in information. So back to the topic, we're talking about news. All I want to know is that a report is happening, right? If I was in Shopify here because the system told me to, I want to know that earnings are occurring. And if there was this candle happened just out of the blue, I would just know there's news on it anyway. But if, say, we're coming up to earnings and I'm in a position and I'm not up a lot on it, I don't think there's enough room to really take a trade on it, then I won't. Right? I'll just immediately get out of the position before earnings. So I think that the event is coming up is important. That's why I mentioned these in these notes. Same with when it comes to the economic reports. It was important for me to know this morning that, if I go to the SPY here, that this event was happening. So I knew that there would be some sort of gap and volatility in today. I knew that was going to happen. I don't know what the number means. I don't know what it means for the future. Again, there's no edge for me there, so I filter that information out. But every morning, I still check and I say, are we going to be in one of those times where there is this big event that could push us somewhere or the other? Or are we in a day that there's nothing really going on, and in which case it's more lower volatility? So it's using these to detect that there will be some volatility, some action, some craziness happening, not so much trying to pick the direction on it. So I hope all that made sense. Again, if you want more of these kind of rant videos, let me know. I can turn on OBS and hit record and spit something out for you guys. But I think this is important. Now, not to say before someone gets, oh, you need to know the fundamentals of the company or whatever you're doing. If that is your belief and that is working for you and you're making a bunch of money doing it, absolutely have fun. Continue on. It's just not my focus and it's not my edge. My edge in the market is to be able to build systems and to have those systems trade for me. It is not knowing that everyone's interested in this sector or that style. If it's working for you and you're finding great success doing it, keep going. If you think it's working for you and you haven't yet found great success doing it, maybe it's something you need to filter out.